As you know, this entire event revolves out of a high school party at Miss Anderson's friend's house that got out of control. And there's nothing new about kids having high school parties. They did it when I was in high school. They still do it. What's new now is digital media. And they get on something called Snapchat. And instead of just telling a few friends, hey, we're going to have a little get together, come on over to my mom's house. It goes on Snapchat, and kids pick it up all over the place and show up from everywhere, and it gets out of control real quick. So that's what happened. And this happened on January 19th of this year, which was the night before Martin Luther King Day. Martin Luther King Day was a school holiday, and this was a Sunday night. Okay, so the principal, Ms. Hill Brodigan, friends with Carly Anderson, called her up and said, hey, let's go out and have a drink. They live right down the street from each other. And Ms. Hill Brodigan picked her up, brought her out to a local establishment in Cocoa Beach, just a few miles away from their house on Minuteman Causeway. And they both live on Minuteman Causeway. And they proceeded to have adult beverages, and were in the process of thinking about ordering some wings and having a night out. At that moment, somebody from the Cocoa Beach Police Department called Miss Hill Brodigan and said, there's a party that's out of control at your house, and you need to come home right now and disperse it, extinguish it, fix it. So Miss Anderson gets informed of this and says, okay, I'll go with you. Big mistake on her part. That's where things start to go wrong for her. No good deed goes unpunished. So she drives, they drive back to the house. They may have made a stop someplace else. Within a few minutes, they're both back at the house. Miss Hill Brodigan goes right by Miss Anderson's house, doesn't give her an opportunity to get out of the car. And there's the remnants of an out-of-control party is going on. They proceed to work on telling the kids to go home. This house that this party is at backs up onto the golf course. So I'm imagining kids were running around on the golf course and making a nuisance to all the neighbors. So she was there for some time and never provided any alcohol to any minors, never had a drink with any minors, never knew anything about this party until the police called and said, you need to come back here. So I'm thinking it's about an hour after they returned, and that's when you're going to see a body cam clip. It lasts about 3 minutes, so don't worry, it's not going to be like grueling long or anything. And it shows Corporal Brown, who found a young man in the front yard. I think he said vomiting and shivering. Well, this was towards the end of January, and I think this kid didn't have a jacket on, and it was probably about high 50s or 60 degrees. So he was cold, and probably had too much to drink, and sitting in the grass in front of Hill Brodigan's residence. So Corporal Brown calls the ambulance, which probably is an overreaction, but that's his choice. In the abundance of caution, call an ambulance on a drunk kid who's puking, that's okay. He calls EMT, the fire department shows up, they evaluate the kid, who is CR, state has told you, and that's his name for this trial today. They evaluate him, and he apparently is fine. And Corporal Brown asks him some questions. It's his mom's phone number. He calls the mom, and I think you're going to hear testimony that the mom was in Orlando or Sanford, but would come over to the Cocoa Beach Police Department to pick him up. And I'm going to ask Corporal Brown about that. And you just watch the video carefully. They pick up the kid. They go, 1, 2, 3, come on. You'll hear his name. 1, 2, 3, come on, let's get up. And Corporal Brown has agreed, for some reason, to put him in the back of this police car and take him to the Cocoa Beach Police Department where he can meet his mother. Instead of, knocking on the door of the residence and saying, hey, you need to take care of this kid until his mom gets here, he's putting him in the back of a police car. And about 99% of the people that get put in the back of a police car are under arrest. So the kid is in the police car. No more emergency services being rendered on him. He is actually in and sitting down. And then you see Mrs. Anderson come out of the darkness. And yes, she was intoxicated at that point in time. She comes out of the darkness and goes, "What are you doing?" And the paramedic, maybe it's Mr. Roque, maybe it's one of the other ones, basically says, "None of your business," and then he walks away from him. That's it. Kate is already in the police car, and then Miss Anderson, who is a school teacher, is very familiar with Corporal Brown. He was a school resource officer at her school, which is also right down the street from where all this took place. And she knew him very well. They had spent many, many hours together during fire drills and in recess, talking to each other, and really had become friends. So she's familiar with Corporal Brown and considers him another professional in the area that's trying to take care of this kid. And she starts talking to him. She says, "What's wrong with him? Why won't they tell me what's going on with this kid? You guys are out of control." And she has a moment. And Corporal Brown is very calm most of the time. And she uses the word, "I'm concerned about this child. I'm concerned about a child being put into a machine." She says, "I've been at this party," and what she was saying is, "I've been here for an hour since the police told us to come back and disperse the party." And she basically has some conversation with him. She doesn't threaten him. She doesn't touch him. At one point in time, he flips the switch, so to speak, and starts yelling at her. He goes from calm to absolutely yelling at her. And he says, "I'll tell you what's going on. There was 200 kids here drinking with you and your boss, and get out of my face." And he turns, and she says, "That's on your body cam," and walks away. And that's it. That's the whole case. So he got it wrong. She wasn't there drinking with juveniles or throwing a party. Not in any way. And I don't know what duty she obstructed him in doing, what legal duty or legal process. Kid was in the car. He had a consensual citizen police encounter with her. And although it's probably a bad idea to yell at a police officer, it's not illegal. It is protected under the First Amendment, our right to free speech. And we can say what we want to, as long as it doesn't, rise to the level of committing a crime. You can't sit in a theater full of people and yell fire when there is no fire and have people trample themselves on the way out. That's the common example of when free speech is a crime. So what she did is have a conversation with him. He yelled at her and said, "Get out of my face," and that was the end of it. And he walked around and got in the car and drove CR to the police department. CR was never endangered by Miss Anderson, and Corporal Brown was never impeded in any way. He chose to talk to her, and they knew each other well. It's not like they were strangers, and they engaged in a conversation which he ended at his choice when he was ready. You'll also hear that Corporal Brown was a law enforcement officer working for Cocoa Beach Police Department that night. I assume he still works there. And he didn't arrest Mrs. Anderson for anything. He didn't arrest her for disorderly intoxication. He didn't arrest her for resisting without violence. Had he observed those crimes, he certainly could have called another officer, said, "CR, you're going to have to wait a minute while I get another officer here to put Mrs. Anderson in the back of a police car." But notably, he didn't observe those crimes. He didn't choose to make any arrest. So you will hear more details, and I think we'll be able to conclude this case today, probably. So just pay attention, watch the video, watch for what I was suggesting. CR is in the car before Miss Anderson appears out of the darkness. And that's when there's no endangerment of CR by her at that point in time, because they already did whatever they're going to do to him. And even if she had have got up to him before they put him in the car, he was never in danger of anything except for his own excessive drinking as a minor.